I'm Jason Klamm, and this is the Comedy on Vinyl podcast.
Now you'll have no problem sticking it up.
Brilliant. That's exactly what I was hoping for. Thank you so much.
I'm gonna do a big. I'm gonna clap so you can hear it. There.
Perfect.
There's your whatever they call it in film.
With
the
a
clapboard?
clap slate. Yeah.
Yeah. A slate. Sure.
A slate. Yeah, I think so. It's been so long since I've been on a film set. Let me see here. What year did this album come out? Before I act like an idiot and say the wrong
1985,
thing.
I think.
There we are. You are not mistaken. Okay. And we normally do 45 minutes to an hour. Is that okay?
Yeah. That's great. I saw some of the episodes are over an hour. I've got the time.
Good. If it's Billy West, it's a 3-hour podcast and then another 2 hours at my place talking to me.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, for him, like he's my hero, so that was okay. I let him ramble. It was nice. Okay. Do you have any questions for me before we start?
No.
All
Sorry. I've just got I got a cucumber stuck in my straw.
Uh-huh.
But now I'm wondering if maybe this is zucchini I put in my drink. I think it's a cucumber.
As long as it's refreshing, that's all that really matters, I think.
Right?
I think. Okay. The year is 1985. The album is Mahvelous. The artist, Billy Crystal, and my guest is Dave Shumka. Thank you for doing the show.
My pleasure.
That's it for this week. Do you have anything you want to plug? Okay, now, Dave, you host.
Hi.
You host, co-host, Stop Podcasting Yourself.
Yeah.
You were the co-creator / co-host / co-writer person of our debut album, another great podcast.
That's right.
I'm a fan of Stop Podcasting Yourself, and I realized I don't know that I've ever heard you speak aloud about comedy albums, so I'm not sure why you picked Billy Crystal. That surprises me. Is it weird that surprises me?
Well, it's not weird. I don't know why I picked it either.
Okay.
Because I had comedy albums when I was a teenager.
Sure.
On CD, but I thought for comedy on vinyl, I would think back to what we had on vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in 1980, so I never bought anything on vinyl.
Sure.
To this day, I've never bought anything on vinyl. But like as a teenager, I had in the 90s. What were the comedy things? I mean,
Jerky Boys.
No, not Jerky
Thank
Boys,
God.
but like
Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler for sure.
Okay.
Dennis Leary.
Okay, sure.
Corky and the Juice Pigs. Canadian comedy band.
Yeah.
And a few other Canadian comedy bands, like what were the names of these guys? Radio Free Vestibule. If you can track them down.
Radio Free Vestibule.
They had some very funny sketches. And then not too much stand-up, but when I was thinking back to what we had on vinyl, we had a few Weird Al's, and we had a bunch of Bill Cosby, and we had this. My brother must have got this. My brother's 8 years older than I am, so this would have been like when he was 13. I assume he got this from the Columbia House, 7 albums for a penny. But we had this Billy Crystal album, and I listened to it a bunch. But I don't remember, when I re-listened to it just the other day, I was shocked at how much I remembered it. But there's so many references that would have made no sense to me.
Of course, yeah.
Even when I was listening, when I was 12 or 13, just because, Menudo, he makes a reference to Menudo. And by 1993, that wasn't a thing anyone knew.
No. And I don't think we would have until Ricky Martin hit the scene.
Exactly.
I'm assuming. I mean, Fernando Lamas alone, for a child. I mean, he died in '82, so there's little to no chance we would know who that guy was. It was just a cute voice. It was a voice that we I guess attached to. I'm told I did that impression when I was 3. I was a real adorable child. It's fucking upsetting. Just that's the stuff that I latched onto as a kid. So what's the stuff that you were shocked that you remembered?
All of it. Like, I when I was listening back, I couldn't. I don't remember how much was stand up. Like, it's weird. I think of Billy Crystal as a movie star.
Sure.
But I don't know, like, and I guess he did a one season on Saturday Night Live,
Something like that.
but that was when I was tiny. So I know the highlights from that season, and but I guess I just sort of always assumed he was a stand-up. But there's like, I don't know, half an hour of stand-up on this album, or maybe it's from like Comic Relief, like it was him and Whoopi Goldberg and Robin Williams, who I guess of the 3 of them, Robin Williams is the most well-known as a stand-up. I don't even know if Whoopi Goldberg, would you call her a stand-up?
Not she has a comedy album, which it's actually just a Broadway show. It's the audio to her Broadway show, which I feel like has elements of stand-up, but I don't know beyond that what she did. Everybody's going to hate me for saying I don't know, but yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, she I guess, like, I knew Billy Crystal as the guy from City Slickers and the guy who hosted the Oscars. And so based on that, I don't know why I was drawn to this comedy album.
This is something your parents bought and brought into the house, or your brother?
My brother.
Your brother's. Okay. Did your parents have any comedy in the house in terms of albums?
I think the Bill Cosby must have been my dad's.
Okay. But your brother brought in the newer stuff, the stuff that was there a temptation because he was your older brother to enjoy it as much as he did?
I don't know if I ever witnessed him enjoying this. We just had a record collection, and there was so much classical I was never going to listen to, so many show tunes I would never listen to, and then, like, you know, a handful of pop records and a handful of comedy. So I think I listened to every comedy album we had that I recognized as comedy. Maybe there were some things that were cleverly disguised. Or if the comedians were wearing tuxedos on the cover, I just assumed that it was, you know, classical.
Well, you know, if it were Victor Borge, you'd be right in both counts.
Exactly.
So.
Here in Vancouver, there's a theater called the Orpheum Theater that has a Hall of Fame, a Wall of Fame outside, and I think there's only 4 names on it. Bob Hope, and these are people who perennially perform there, I guess. Bob Hope, Nana Mouskouri, the singer.
Okay.
Ravine, the hypnotist, and Victor Borge.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a wall of some esteem, if not fame.
Are there just the names or faces? Is there a mural?
I think it's just a star and a name, yeah.
Okay. But 4. You've got your 4. All right.
The big 4 of...
Sure.
I guess, I don't know if Vancouver was a popular stop for the most of the last century, but...
Yeah, no, I understand. I've only heard of a handful of comedy albums myself that were recorded in Canada. And usually it's border towns, usually.
Oh, well, Canada is all border towns.
Sure, but specifically, I guess, like Windsor being the one that's
sure.
just so most accessible to
what
the
are
weird
the
comedy of Detroit.
What comedy's coming to mind? Oh, is it? Well, yeah. What albums are coming to mind?
The one album that pops into my head, and I know that there are other. I don't know if there are any other Windsor ones, but this one stood out just because it's a guy from Detroit who was a kids star. Like on kids TV, and then did an album that was one half your typical, like, really bad, hacky, racist, misogynist, homophobic stuff, and then the other side was him singing quite beautifully. So it's half his comedy act, and the other half was really good singing. It might have been good singing by comparison to the really awful shit he was saying on the other side of the album.
Oh, right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there are tons and tons of Canadian comedy albums. I just, I can't think of them right now. I mean,
Sure.
the Bob and Doug McKenzie album comes to mind.
Of course, yeah.
And then,
arguably one of the greatest comedy albums of all time, actually.
And then
I think.
I don't know where I'm like Tommy Chong is from here.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that stuff was recorded, but
All here, I think. I can tell you I do have an old Rich Little album that was kind of his answer to The First Family, which was our comedy album about the president. But I got zero of those references. I felt so stupid listening to it. I just couldn't. I listened to it all, but I didn't get an ounce of it because it was all Canadian politics from the 60s.
Oh, right. Oh, what was our first family? Was that Von Meter? Is that his name?
Yes. Yep. Von Meter did First Family, and then it lost his career. Rich Little got to continue because nobody killed a prime minister. Thank goodness. So good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does Billy? Okay, so I mean, I get we've established when you listened to it and what it was for you at the time. Does Billy Crystal hold any? Do you have any nostalgia for Billy Crystal still?
No, it was like, it was back when there were, basic cable and, you had a few channels. And so like a famous, funny guy, there weren't that many of them.
Yeah.
There like, in my generation for, that span of 3 years, if you hosted the Oscars between 1990 and 93, you are like one of the funniest people in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And, I actually went back and I looked over his filmography, and I think I've maybe seen 4 Billy Crystal movies.
Uh-huh.
I didn't even hold him in that high esteem. It's not like he was, Jim Carrey. Oh, you got to see the new Jim Carrey movie or Adam Sandler or whatever.
Sure.
So yeah, it's like beyond City Slickers and The Princess Bride. I just knew he was just this famous guy who was funny, and he did on the album. He does impressions, and you're like, I guess he was an impressionist. Like I don't even remember what he was famous for. He was mostly because I guess he had a lot of fingers in different pies. He did movies, he did stand up. He has all these memorable sketches from one season on Saturday Night Live, and hosting, and well, maybe he did a little bit of puppetry. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a very good point. He's from an era where you could kind of be known as a star for your talent, but known so much as a star that I know that, I grew up with tons of people the same way where when I found out that Bobcat Goldthwait did stand up, that shocked me. Like, because he was just that weird fucking guy from the Police Academy and Scrooged that I didn't know until I was much older that he was ever a stand up. So there are these people who do kind of occupy this weird space where they're just entertainers. And I don't know what. Yeah, I guess is Muhammad Ali's okay.
Yeah, he does a thing where it's another thing where as a kid listening, I was like, why would I? What am I getting out of him doing Howard Cosell, talking to Muhammad Ali, Larry Holmes, and Marvin Hagler? It's like I couldn't. You could play their real voices and I wouldn't know who it was.
They really hit home with those people, but I can't tell if it's really hitting home or if it's like Robin Williams hitting home, where he's just saying so many things, people are just loving it.
Right.
Because much as I like a Robin Williams, his albums are very much that. There are people just laughing at. There's another Canadian, Howie Mandel. He's got an album that has, I would arguably, zero content on it, yet it is getting laughs left and right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you ever heard that album.
No.
I would argue it's worse than this one. I don't necessarily think this is bad.
No,
it doesn't hurt me to listen to.
No,
a couple things do.
It's not. Well, yeah. There's the jazz man. The jazz man hurts. But this isn't so bad so much as it's dated. It's
of course
there's a whole like We Are the World, USA for Africa bit. There's the You Look Marvelous song has just mentions every female singer from the time, and he says they're all marvelous. Cyndi Lauper's marvelous. But like there's a lot of sort of, I guess, premises that are knowing what we know about comedy now and how everyone is kind of can be a comedy snob. Like he does Men and Women Are Different. He does, old men farting, that kind of thing.
That's a whole bit. That is a whole 5 minutes of comedy. Where it just fart and a response to his own fart for basically what feels like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is weird to me that he even bothers to have the stand-up in there, but he must have been doing, I guess, because either that or he felt he had to do it because he couldn't fill it with the impression. Because again, he only did one album. He did this album, and like you said, did the year of SNL and bolted from both and just went into movies immediately.
But how long had he been doing stand-up before that? Was he just a charming guy who was like, I'm really funny, I do impressions, I don't necessarily need material? Because it's not bad. Like it's like
Sure.
It's not his first time doing it.
No, right. He's obviously got a background. I'm trying to actually see when he actually started. Again, he said on the album, I believe he says he started when he was 5, not doing stand up necessarily, but he said he started performing for people one way or another because his father was a jazz producer, which gives him permission to do all kinds of stuff. And that's the thing about the jazz man. It is cringy. It is, again, dated, of course. But, like, he's doing it out of love, and you can tell, like, there's no effort there to, like, isn't it funny how black people talk? Like, it's clearly not that. It's him trying to really do a thing, but it just, I guess it's just dated out of any relevance.
Yeah, and it's like he does blackface on the cover as Sammy Davis Jr.
Yeah.
And he did it on Saturday Night Live.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool. No, it's I think it's, it's, I guess you could say it's dated. I don't know that it was cool back then to be happening. I just don't think anyone who objected to it had much of a voice.
Yeah, that's probably a better way to look at it. I'm not a black man. Neither was I in 1985, so I guess it wouldn't have struck me as. I probably would have loved this album though. I have to imagine this would have been the greatest thing in the world to me. Even though the opening to it is a sketch and a song.
That is the best. The opening with Christopher Guest, which was, I guess, a sketch on Saturday Night Live.
It was, yeah.
But it's the two guys. What are they? Doormen at a hotel?
I think so.
I know that now. I didn't when I first heard this. I just thought it was these two guys who were able to finish each other's sentences about these horrible things that they do to themselves, injure themselves. And I thought it was so funny. I stand by it. It's like a solid bit. The fact that it turns into a song is maybe not that solid, but
right. The SNL stuff, yeah, it's always. I mean, I say the SNL stuff. I think they poach most of the material from existing sketches because I know that Meet the Mobita, like that one is definitely. I definitely saw on the show. Well, saw it later on the show. Yeah, it is. It's a great bit. As a bit, it is good. It's well executed. It's simple. I mean, that's it. I mean, it's a very simple bit. They have their little catchphrases. I hate it when that happens. I know what you mean.
That's the chorus of the song.
Yeah, that is also the chorus of the song. This little funk beat that's underneath it. This funk riff.
And I'm presuming they got, well, I think Paul Schaefer appears later in the thing, so maybe they got him to do the music.
See, that would be ideal.
Or whatever, whoever was the Saturday Night Live band at the time.
I did look to see if it was G.E. Smith. I did not see G.E. Smith's name listed anywhere on here. It could have been his black jazz friend who did most of the music. I don't know. And then from that he goes right into just stand up, getting a little kid to do the Fernando Lamas impression.
Well, I didn't even know that this was a real guy, this Fernando Lamas. I just know it as the "You Look Marvelous" guy.
Right. Yeah, I couldn't have known who that was as a kid either.
And to this, like, I've never seen footage of the real guy. It's Lorenzo Lamas's dad, I'm presuming.
It is, yeah.
And I don't know if he actually said that, if he said "You look marvelous," or if it was just his essence.
Right.
Right. But the first stand-up bit he gets, there's people in the audience yelling out, "You look marvelous." And he gets a kid to come up and say it, so no one ever has to say it again. And then he does like 5 minutes talking about it's so crazy. This people yell it to me on street corners.
Yeah, he talks about how hard his nipples are in this bit too. I just thought I would write. That was just something that stood out. Listening to Billy Crystal say that his nipples were hard. There is this element of a certain period of stand up. Same with like Eddie Murphy, who a lot of his act was talking about how people would talk to him about his bits on the street. Which is when I say his bits, I do mean his comedy bits. I realize how that could have been misinterpreted.
Oh, sure.
I don't understand how that ever works. Maybe it's just pure charm, where somebody can talk about how famous they are and people just react and laugh.
I think so. I think like anytime you've gone to a show and like someone famous is there, they've won the crowd over just by being famous.
Yeah,
like it buys you a lot of goodwill. And he like I'm not. It's like a unique bit. No one else can talk about how this impression has worked well for them, I guess.
Right.
Like, being famous is, no, like it's not just any other. Have you seen this commercial or any other sort of universal bit? Like, I'm famous. I can talk about being famous and people will listen. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I can't quite figure it out because I feel like that's something I would resist. But I'm charmed by him. I'm charmed by Eddie Murphy. I'm almost charmed, but not quite when he does his Chinese man accent. That's the first one. That's like the first sign that things might go a little south. It could be worse, I guess. That's I guess that's the best you can say about it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like this whole thing is like he's pretty clean throughout his racist bits.
Boy, yeah, and he gets under the impressions pretty quickly. Yeah, I don't think any of those impressions would have made any sense to me as a kid, except for maybe none of them. Edward G. Robinson just as a thing, but you know him as a cartoon voice more than you might know him as an actual person.
Yeah, is that well? Does he go through like the 10 Commandments?
Yes,
and so I obviously as a 10 to 11-year-old, I had never seen that movie. I still haven't seen all of it. Although my wife, her family, I guess it's on every year at Easter.
Okay,
and
yeah.
My wife and her family, they have a drinking game. Whenever someone says bondage, you drink.
That's fantastic.
And so so he does Edward G. Robinson, but even then, like, it's the kind of thing where he's funny enough that even as a kid, if you don't know who Edward G. Robinson is, like, he's talking about a guy.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a guy that the audience is familiar with, so let's all go on with it.
Yeah.
Like, I guess the audience all had to be over 30 as well.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, that makes I'm just realizing I don't know how old he was at this point because I can never quite figure out Billy Crystal's age. So 19. Okay, so he's my age. So he's 37 at this point. So yeah, Billy Crystal, 37. Now that's another thing though. When I listen to this, he sounds incredibly young, but to me, but I guess he's always sounded a little young. But I can't imagine myself at 37 doing what he's doing. I'm not saying that I'm necessarily above it. I would be above it as a performer, but this seems like so early in somebody's career, and to be 37 when you're busting out these weird impressions and your catchphrases. I don't know. I could be wrong.
I think you're wrong. I think this is like the prime like he's not questioning what he's doing. Like
Sure.
this is like why what else would his album be?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he is unabashedly this guy, I suppose. I mean, there's nothing cynical. It doesn't seem cynical to me. The only thing cynical is, if you don't do another album, I always wonder why you did just the one, and if it was just the cash cow, fine. But yeah, no, I mean, he's kind of delightfully sincere, again, like with his love of the jazz man character and all the voices he does.
Yeah, I don't think like people who do impressions usually aren't cynical because like you have to. There has to be such artifice. Like you have to be like, hey, you know this famous person? Well, imagine they were in this situation. So come along with me. Like you can't think that's hacky.
Sure. I guess it just strikes me that at 37, unless it's more the age of maybe it's just because it's 1985 that just doesn't come across as hacky. Maybe I should disregard his age at the time.
Yeah, I think you're 37. But it's your first album, and maybe you're not. Maybe you don't have, tons of material to draw from. Maybe it is a cash-in. I don't know.
Yeah, for a cash-in though, as you point out, for a cash-in to be as invested in the comedy and to put, I actually kind of like all the stuff about when he talks about being a dad and what it's like being a teenage boy and stuff. I get at this point he's got 2 daughters. It just of course baseball comes up inevitably because it's Billy Crystal. Talks about a kid with having the biggest penis in the world.
Yeah, I remember that. As like his nightmare as a dad. This 14-year-old boy with the biggest penis. It's me, the big. It's great.
Yeah,
it's memorable all these years later. And I didn't know he liked baseball
at the time.
No, I
at all.
I know. I'm
okay.
joking.
I see now. I was okay. I knew that, but I assume. Here's the thing, Dave. It's late.
What time zone are you in?
Same as you. But, yeah. I completely forgot where we were. Oh, right. Me not making it obvious that I understood a joke. That's where we were.
It's fine.
But yeah,
you know
the
what?
biggest penis.
It's Skype. It's Skype, baby.
Sure, it's a delay. That's what it is. There's just this delay. It just throws everything off. There's the whole bit about his penis being in charge of everything, where he just does that weird voice saying "now" the whole time. And I kind of like that too.
And it's it's a sort of like a homing device. It can locate the girl from however. Let me ring the doorbell. It's talking. It's got a toot. It's hey, he's the guy with the penis with the toot.
Yeah.
And then but like. And there's some good stuff in there. Like
I think so.
There's some written lines that you can tell are written, but they come across really naturally. Like he's like, when I was a boy, and then he interrupts himself, like I'm an armadillo now. It's one of those lines that, he sells it really well that it's just coming to him in the moment, but it's,
gets a solid laugh.
A line like that, you don't throw that away.
No, of course not. Hold on to that one. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and guess that Billy Crystal was not necessarily a big influence, but it is something that you remember. But then I could be wrong. Is there any influence? Is there any what was your stand-up like? Because I'm now realizing how little of your stand-up that I've heard when you were doing it.
Yeah, there's very little of it available. I was pretty good at wiping it from the internet. My stand-up was nothing like this. I didn't tell stories. I didn't do voices. I didn't do characters. I didn't have songs. I didn't talk about old movies. Mine was pretty weird and like a lot of one-liners, and which is very. A lot of comedians start off doing one-liners, and then you realize you have to fill time, and
yeah,
no one-liner, no matter how brilliant, is gonna it's gonna eat up more than 20 seconds.
Yeah.
I never really got into the long storytelling stuff that Billy did, that some comedians do. But yeah, no, not really an influence on me, but just sort of a fascination as a kid when you're kind of like figuring out what kind of entertainment is there out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this was recorded in a room full of people who apparently bought tickets to go see a guy talk. Like, what is that?
Yeah. See, you have this moment, because I've never done stand-up, but I mean, most stand-ups seem to have that moment where they sort of or they realize or they question that this could ever be a thing. And I either always assumed it was a reality or never even thought about it. So that's what kind of throws me. So was there a moment where that turned into a genuine goal for you, or was it something you just tried out one time, stand-up?
I knew stand-up was a thing, obviously, eventually, and
sure.
But I didn't know who did it and like how one does it. Like, I guess you go to New York or L.A. and they have it there, and then I saw Zach Galifianakis on TV, and I went to his website, and it said he was playing at this place in Vancouver I had never heard of, which it was called El Cocal,
Mm-hmm.
and I phoned them up and I said, when is the comedy show? How do I get tickets for the comedy show? And they didn't speak English.
Oh, no.
And I figured out that it's this tiny restaurant. And so I went that night, and it was hosted by my podcast co-host now, Graham Clark.
Mm-hmm.
And it had about 10 comedians from Vancouver that I had never heard of.
Uh-huh.
And then Zach Galifianakis. And I was like, what? You can just be a guy from here who has a bunch of jokes, and then you can be on the same show as Zach Galifianakis. And so that was sort of the thing that pushed me into it. It was like, oh, so it's happening here, and there's
Mm-hmm.
people who do it, and there's places to do it, and then ultimately you figure out how to do it.
In your wildest fantasy at the time, what happens? Because, I mean, if you're thinking about, if you're picturing yourself being a stand-up in the same situation where you might get to perform with today's Victor Borga, or at least at the time,
Sure.
because did he have a piano at the time? Was he still doing the piano thing?
That's why he was performing there, because
Okay.
they had a piano.
All right.
Or that's what Graham claims anyway.
Okay.
In my wildest dreams, I honestly was like, I was pretty realistic about it. I was 24 at the time, and I was like, well, you hear all these stories about like the comedy legends starting before they could even get into clubs, like starting when they're 16, like the greats like Nick Cannon. And so I was sort of realistic about it, and I kind of thought this, well, there's other types of comedy out there. Well, let's see how this goes, and maybe I can meet people. Maybe this will work out really well. I don't know how to make a living at it, but we'll see. Let's see if I can figure out how people seem to make a living at it, and very few do. But yeah, so it was. I was pretty realistic about it at the time. It was just kind of for fun, and ultimately, the way a lot of people do make a living at it is doing stand-up, and the places that pay you to do stand-up are comedy clubs, and I was never fond of comedy clubs, and they were never fond of me. So
well, I mean, and the frequency with which you have to do it seems to me daunting.
You mean doing stand-up?
Doing stand-up, period. Yeah, having to do it every day or whatever, however frequently you're supposed to do it. That's how little I really understand the reality of it.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like people treat it like a job because they want it to be their job, so they do it every day.
Yeah. What were you doing at the time?
I was working as a video editor on just like a Canadian reality show.
Mm-hmm.
That I won't even name because no one ever saw it.
Okay, that's fine. Oh boy, that is a whole. You guys have so often. Well, early on your podcast, you guys would talk about America's Next Top Model so much. Your show started in 2008, right?
Yes.
2008.
We
So
invented podcasting.
You invented podcasting. I keep forgetting. It's right after I stopped working on America's Next Top Model.
Oh.
And so yeah, that's so.
What were you doing there?
I was a PA.
Ah.
But as a PA, I actually just found some proof of this the other day. I don't know how I have proof of this, but just the one time I got to meet Tyra was I had
Who?
her Tyra Banks. She's a model. She likes baseball. And I had to drive 2 hours around LA to get her a specific type of popcorn, only to get it back and find out Tyra didn't particularly care what brand of popcorn I got her. Some idiot on the production had actually just assumed that if that didn't happen, everyone would die.
Right.
That's the kind of thing that happens. So, boy, I want to know more about your reality show, but that's fine. That's
Oh,
fine.
I mean, I'll tell you, it was. I think the one I was working on at the time was just about like it was funded by the government. It was about Canadian small businesses. It was
Okay.
literally on a channel no one got. Like it was just a completely subsidized government thing that made me miserable.
You know, this is something that I actually never comes up organically when I have a Canadian guest, but Canadian content is something that we'll never be able to relate to here. I think there's the assumption that everything we do is just utterly American, so why bother? We have a supposedly rich culture. What was the Canadian content type stuff growing up watching TV or listening to radio or whatever as a kid in terms of comedy? I mean, the legend, of course, is Bob and Doug McKenzie being created as just a satirical hit at that idea and just making these huge Canadian stereotypes that end up actually taking off, ironically enough. So I'm just curious, like, what was your experience? Did you know about it? Did you get it?
Well, there's the law in Canada, for people who don't know, is when it's mostly, I mean, there's different things for TV and like funding things, but for a radio music broadcast, 35% of the music played in an hour must be Canadian.
Okay.
And the way you qualify it as Canadian is the music written by a Canadian, the lyrics written by a Canadian, the artist born in Canada, and the music recorded in Canada. And I think it has to satisfy 2 or 3 of those.
Wow.
So you hear songs on the radio, and when you're growing up, you can't really pick out what is Canadian and what isn't. And then the older you get, you kind of catch on. And then, like, the weird thing is that law sort of only came into existence in the 70s.
Uh-huh.
So if you're listening to classic rock radio that's playing music from the 60s, there's like a lot less Canadian artists to draw from.
Yeah,
but they still have to adhere to those laws. So you'll hear Neil Young and the Guess Who over and over and over and over on these stations. But in terms of Canadian comedy, like the Kids in the Hall, obviously, were great. And then on the radio, audio comedy, there was really, that I remember, there was the CBC, which everything they make is Canadian, so it's 100% Canadian. And they had, the 2 shows I remember were the Royal Canadian Air Farce, which was a pretty good radio show. Like, they had some funny sketches. It was on every week. It eventually became this television show that was the worst, like every horrible Canadian stereotype.
Oh no.
And then, but just like the audience, they'd never acquired a new audience. It was just sort of like people who started listening in the 70s.
Okay.
Kept watching the show up until like 2010.
Holy shit.
And so it was just, the sketch show for 65-year-olds, and it was the worst. And the other one was this show called Double Exposure, which was Bob Robertson and Linda Cullen, and it was recorded in Vancouver, and it was just the 2 of them. It was just these 2 performers. I think they were married, and they did all the voices, and the guy did. The impressions weren't Billy Crystal caliber, but he would do sort of caricature, impressions of Canadian political people, as would she. And that show, I really like. It was on Saturday afternoons. I would listen to it, driving to soccer games with my dad, and it was so like I could not pick out a single memorable sketch from it, but I loved it.
Yeah.
Because it was all kind of topical, so it was like, I don't even remember what the political topics were in 1988, but
But sharing it with your those are always those come up a lot. The thing you share with your parents that they laugh at that you assume has to be funny.
oh yeah, and sitting in the back seat of the car and seeing my dad's shoulders go up and down is a very fond memory.
What I'm always fascinated by is what actually makes it over the border to us, because I think not just fortunate, we wouldn't American cinema of the 70s and 80s would be nothing without, I think, a few Canadian faces that just filled out the whole thing.
Yeah.
They're probably the greatest, or at least most well-regarded movie of the 80s for a certain breed of nostalgics like myself is Back to the Future. And, there are just these few like super, super iconic, seemingly, just over American films and things that are just dotted with really great Canadian talent. The 90s were Mike Myers and Jim Carrey's to do with what they wanted. And then there's other stuff that crosses, like, I know that if you speak to an English comedian of any note, if you try to relate to them and say, and I've never done this, but I've seen it done, and say, hey, what about Are You Being Served? You'll get this blank look. I want to know what the Canadian embarrassments are, and I want to start with the one that I can assume is, and that's Red Green. That is the one we definitely got.
Red Green is, that was one I definitely never saw a whole episode of. It was something that, I guess he's like he lives in a lodge, and he's like a fix-it guy and fixes everything with duct tape. This is what I gather. There's some really, we were talking about CanCon music before, and like there's so many bad Canadian versions of American music.
Okay.
But I can't think of too many terrible Canadian comedy things. There obviously must have been, and we had our versions of Evening at the Improv.
Okay.
And Caroline's Comedy Hour, which were just, tons of stand-ups.
Are there names that came out of those that you still are aware of? I'm curious, like, if you saw any of those people and you now know them.
Oh, I'm sure, like, Brent Butt was on that. Was on, what was that? Comedy at Club 54 is the Canadian version of that.
Okay.
I'm sure he must have been on it. And there were, there are kind of Canadian club comics of my youth who I still see their names, like Lawrence Morgenstern or Howard Busgang. Like there are Dan Redican. There are these sort of names that you hear or that you like remember that weren't stars back then, but you saw them on TV and you and then working in comedy or like looking at the credits of shows nowadays, like all these names are that guy stuck around, good for him. But what were there were some really good Canadian shows that like aren't embarrassments that like no one even in Canada saw, that maybe were on for just a little while that I remember. Like there was, people, Canadians will remember this show called Four on the Floor, which was a sketch comedy show with the Frantics. But I wonder if that's on YouTube, but it's not like, it's not the Kids in the Hall or anything. It's not super
Sure.
super famous. And then there was a show called The Ron Oliver Show, which was just this one guy, kind of a wacky guy, walking around, Toronto and interviewing people, and I thought he was so funny.
Mm-hmm.
The things that got really popular that annoyed me were like there was on Much Music there was this guy Ed the Sock, who was this funny quote unquote funny sock, and he just had a bad attitude and always had a cigar, and I couldn't tell you for $1 million what was funny about this guy. He was like. It was live TV. He was working without a script, and his whole thing was he had a bad attitude. But like I think the people working on the station must have thought he was hilarious because
Sure.
like let's put him on again. Let's give him his own show. Like
Fuck.
I can't imagine they got much feedback about him. But yeah, like the thing about Canadian TV is it's all so low budget. So the fact that like stuff never really got big enough that you would be embarrassed by it. You like if something's if something was created on a shoestring budget, why kick it while it's down?
Sure. Sure.
So it's like but you see Red Green and it's on TV every day. I never saw a whole episode of it. I have radar for that kind of bad comedy, but so yeah, if something got to that magnitude, you would probably get sick of it. But most Canadian stuff, you're like, they're doing their best. They're not hurting anyone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and again, the best of the best, however it makes its way over here. I guess we can thank Lorne Michaels for most of that. I mean, that's if you want to thank him for anything, that would be the one. I mean, God, I'm still not sure why Kids in the Hall is what it is. Like, I've never understood or broken it down or known what those guys are like, other than they seem like a bunch of, pissy post teenagers who just were really, really funny and really knew how to dig into the worst parts of their personalities to make some really brilliant comedy. Like, they're just, some of those characters are hellish.
Totally. It's
when did you first see the Kids? What's your awareness? How does it start with any of those guys or the group?
It's weird. I think I probably saw it for a year before I maybe when I was 10 or 11. I think I probably saw 13 episodes of it before I realized that there were 5 of them. I remember watching it like, oh, they added, who's this new guy they added? And it's like, that was Kevin McDonald. He was there the whole time. And it was, yeah, I've rewatched a lot of that stuff, and it doesn't, for a kid, you think you're into the stuff on Saturday Night Live at the same time was like, it's Pat and Wayne's World, and just stuff that had so many catchphrases. And most of the Kids in the Hall stuff didn't have catchphrases other than "I'm crushing your head," but it was mostly just like weird characters and weird situations that you're like, how did they come up with this? Talking about what I was talking about earlier about like not knowing how you become a stand-up comedian or like what is even happening in that situation. How does a sketch group become a TV show? Or like not even knowing that the sketch troupe existed. How did this become a TV show? Who pitched this?
Mm-hmm. They've got to be nearing, or maybe they've passed the 30-year mark, and I just realized that because if they started, I'm assuming mid to late 80s, but they were so young. That's the other thing too. To be that, I don't want to necessarily keep comparing people to another 37-year-old, but if I'm gonna look at what Billy, and this is fine. I don't think you could call Mahvelous a bad album. There's some bad shit on it, but in general, it's kind of fun. But then to compare it to a bunch of 21-year-olds who are doing what seems to be the most daring sketch comedy on TV, Unless I don't know. Maybe I'm misremembering how daring it is. Maybe it's not daring. I don't know.
It was.
What do you think?
It was. I mean, it was like some of it was really daring, but like some of it was also just like solid comedy, like that. The first part of this album with the Christopher Guest sketch with I hate when that happens. That is as solid a comedic premise as the Kids in the Hall sketch where he's just talking about Citizen Kane and he refuses to acknowledge that it's Citizen Kane. Like, no, that's not the name of it. So it's just like that's not. I wouldn't call that daring, but
Sure.
But there's there's all kinds of there was all kinds of stuff on the Kids in the Hall that was just funny. Wasn't necessarily shocking or the most groundbreaking stuff. It was just so solid.
Yeah. I mean, and that could be it too. And maybe it's their attitudes that still sell to me the idea that this stuff is really pushing the envelope. I feel like I'm turning into a producer from the 90s who really loved the word edgy. Like, I guess maybe that's what this is doing to my brain. Maybe just that they're young and they have attitudes. The older I get, the more it seems like this stuff is really pushing the envelope, when I think maybe your assessment makes more sense. It's just solid. Although I guess we should point out at this point that they did also have a blackface jazzman character of their own for a brief period. I think he eventually stopped doing the blackface part and just did the offensive voice. But again, you can forgive them. They're just cute little 20-year-olds. They're trying their best.
Sure. Have they asked for forgiveness? I'll forgive them if they acknowledge.
Please. I mean, you had Scott Thompson on your show. I mean, you should have asked him then.
Oh, sure. Him I forgive.
Okay, good. Thank you.
He I forgive.
Boy, oh boy. Do you so when did you stop doing stand-up officially, and why? If you don't mind talking about it, because I am curious.
I never stopped officially. I never sent out a press release. But I think it was around 2011, and I know that because I had to think back of sort of like what goes on at open mics and like the whatever week, like Tuesday, Wednesday shows that you don't get paid for. The amount of people who would have been doing Bane impressions in 2011, I missed out on that. So I think I got out in early 2011.
Okay.
Before everyone, did their best, whatever. It's Bane here's Bane texting. I don't know. I'm trying to think of what else happened in 2011. Here's Bane on, trying to campaign to re-elect Obama. Here's Bane Romney. These are things.
Bane Romney. Yeah. Okay, that's good. I'm glad that you remember the details of that. But
the reason I stopped doing it is I didn't want to anymore. Like it wasn't I was never a guy who did it 7 days a week, and so I just went from doing it 5 days a week to 4, and then well, maybe I'll only do it 3 this week, and then eventually I was just like I'm not the part of me that wants to come up with new jokes isn't coming up with them for stand up. I'm finding other places to do that.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Was there just an itch that podcasting was enough for?
Yeah, and I was working at the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation at the time, and I was writing sort of comedy music stuff, like comedy blogs about music, and so it was enough that I let it go by the wayside. It wasn't comedy, like stand up never really paid anything for me, so it's just kind of when it's not like I stopped doing it and then I went hungry, so I didn't even really notice as I stopped doing it. And I found there were other live shows that were less about less comedy clubs, just sort of more independent venues where you could do it would be like a one-person sketch show or kind of a musical comedy show where you just write a piece for that night,
Okay.
which is really not the sort of spirit of stand-up,
Sure.
where you write a piece and you try to hone it and make it better for the next time you do it. So I stopped wanting to do it,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Was the comedy that you listened to probably mostly watched overwhelmingly one type or another? Like, did you gravitate more towards stand-up, or was that not? You just decided that was the way you could express your love of comedy.
Yeah, well, no, it really is that sort of, it's a typical stand-up story of, you're a misfit, so why would you work with anyone else? It's you in the microphone. Although that, I don't know if it was being a misfit so much as being very shy and like, I don't want to find a group of, I don't want to put on a sketch show with a bunch of people because I'm worried that they're all much funnier than I am. So it was that kind of like, I don't want to embarrass myself in front of people I'm trying to impress. I'd rather embarrass myself by myself in front of strangers. So yeah, it was like, I mean, I've always loved sketch. I've never been in a sketch troupe. I don't think I ever will. I did improv in high school, but yeah, it's just sort of stand-up was the easiest kind of way to get my ideas on stage.
Okay, so I asked you earlier about a couple of your sorry, stuck in these. Stop using that word. Some of the stuff that you listened to as a kid. We did like gloss over quickly, like Adam Sandler and others. What was the other stuff that we might not have touched on that you listened to that like really informed your love of comedy?
And we did talk about Corky and the Juice Pigs.
We did.
That was this Canadian musical trio that had Sean Cullen was the breakout star of that, and the band was just like, they put out 2 albums that were a mix of music and sketch and just improvised. You could tell a lot of it, but so kind of off the wall, which is what I really loved at the time. Like that sort of comedy as a magic trick. Like, how did they come up with this? Like, what am I missing? They got from point A to point B so quickly, and it's such a strange short journey that they took. So that was a big one, and it was sort of like, it felt cool in high school to be like, yeah, I'm into this thing you'll never hear about. You're into a new band that's really cool. Well, I'm into this weird comedy trio that actually, I think the Bare Naked Ladies' first tour was opening for Corky and the Juice Pigs.
Really?
I think that's the thing I heard.
That's so strange. I mean, I know enough because of Dr. Demento having a few album releases with that. Like, I know the Pandas Must Die. Trying to think. I know there are a few. I mean, I've never not liked anything they've done that I've heard, but I've never heard one of their full albums. I don't think I realized that they were music and separately sketch.
Well, and they did. Well, the sketches were 30 seconds long.
Okay.
But they would do it was the same thing as this sort of like Billy Crystal doing jokes about Idi Amin. Like, I don't know who that is, but like they did a 5-minute song based on the style of Suzanne Vega, who I could not, like, now I've maybe heard 3 songs by her.
Sure.
But then I had heard 0 songs by her. But it's like the most hilarious. I think it's improvised. It's like a stream of consciousness, lyrical, doesn't rhyme thing on their first album, and it is. I like talking about it now. I haven't heard it in years. I'd love to go listen to it right now.
Listening to Sean Cullen improvise music is one of my favorite. I mean, he doesn't do a ton of other people's podcasts, but the few times I have heard, has he done your show?
No,
I didn't think so. He seems like he'd be too loud for your show.
There's a rhythm to our show. That's all I'll say.
Okay. That's understandable. Boy. Corky and the Juice Pigs. Are there other... I mean, I don't know if you want to pimp any other Canadian acts, but you can... Anybody else? Is there anything that's super a deep cut in terms of comedy that people should listen to?
And I mentioned it earlier as Radio Free Vestibule. It was another. I think it was another three guys, and it was. I think they later changed their name to the Vestibules.
Okay, that was going to be my next question.
They had one song that was like the grunge song. That maybe even got like they made a video and it got played on TV. About just how grunge songs, some parts are quiet, some parts are loud, but their sketches were so great. And just as the audio sketches, one was it was Laurence Olivier for Diet Coke, and Laurence Olivier had died years earlier, and so they had they hadn't really done this, but it was as though they had clipped individual words from Laurence Olivier's movies into an ad for Diet Coke.
That's brilliant.
And the other one was this Zalgon 26 McGee's. He's this robot from another planet who denies being a robot from another planet, and he just has a clothing store, and you should come in and try on clothes, and if you go into the changing rooms, they won't heat up and cook you. Oh, that's the album I should have chosen. Not this dumb Billy Crystal thing.
Well, you're welcome back, regardless of how awkward I've been this episode. They also did Bulbous Bouffant, I feel like I should point out.
Sure.
That would be the one that, if you're an American, you might have heard.
Oh.
I'm assuming, by the way, that every other American has my same exact experience in terms of comedy. But that's the only one that I knew. And I was very proud of that. I really want to hear... Wait, so do you know how many albums they had? Because now I have to hear that.
I only had the one.
You only had the one. Okay. I will look it up later. So, Dave.
Yeah.
If you're gonna tell people why to listen to this Billy Crystal album, let's say they don't know that he ever did stand-up. Let's say they've never heard of him somehow. Mm-hmm. What's a good reason to listen to this album?
Well, you get You Look Marvelous. You get the song. You get him talking about You Look Marvelous. You get the song version of You Look Marvelous. You get him doing that impression as the final track for these new inventions called answering machines. You can have him being the outgoing message on your answering machine. There's but we didn't talk about the Buddy Young Jr. bit.
Oh, right.
Which is his character from Mr. Saturday Night, years before that movie was made. I guess it was a real passion project. But he's a bad comedian. But I don't know that he's a bad comedian. That is like, some of those jokes are the most solid jokes on the album.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know if the audience has been instructed to groan at this character, because he's getting all these... He's telling he's talking about opening for Stephen Eady. Stephen Eady, a mean? Like, that's good today. His wife, you could, back in the day, you get VHS tapes from anywhere, like the laundromat. My wife got some from the gynecologist. She came home with cystitis and Amadeus. That's solid. What's wrong with you? But yeah, I think this is, why to listen to this album? I would say it's a time capsule of, if you want to hear an album from 1985 that makes a lot of references to things from 1981 through 84, then and a little bit of filler. It's fine. I was happy to revisit it.
It's fine.
It's fine.
I mean, maybe not the most glowing record, but they're not expected to be. I mean, I've had people say, no, you shouldn't listen to this album. They realized at the end of the episode they'd pick one that made no sense to talk about.
It's not like if you found out, oh, Alan Thicke made a comedy album. No, it makes sense for this to exist.
Oh my. I love the idea of that. so much. Okay, so since this is going to come out, I think pretty soon. Where can people find you? What do you want to promote? If there's anything urgent, let me know.
There's nothing urgent. Every week
Okay.
I put out a show called Stop Podcasting Yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I do that with Graham Clark here in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And
It is my favorite podcast.
It's
I will point
mine
that out.
too.
Yay.
If I didn't make it, I would still listen to it. I'm very proud of it. And yeah, that's it. I'm on Twitter at Dave Shumka. And I'm the best person at Twitter too. I have the best podcast and I'm the best guy on Twitter. There. Like, I don't know if that's good promotion, but I'm good. It's all the truth.
You know, I can't ask for anything less or more or less. I don't remember what the right word is right now. I apologize.
It's fine.
It's okay. It's fine, Jason. You're fine.
You're fine.
Well, I don't have anything to promote. Why would I? But just listen to my other podcasts, guys. Go to stolendress.com. That's where all my stupid stuff is. This has been a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, ditto. I'm eating a cucumber now.
Are you sure it's a cucumber? Have we established officially if this is a cucumber or a piece of squash?
I wouldn't have bought a zucchini.
Okay.
I think
All right.
I've gotten too far into this thing to really question it.
Okay. That's fine. Well, that's it. Thank you guys for listening. Dave, again, thank you for doing the show. I'm going to repeat myself. Thank you guys for listening. And as always, have a good thing. Comedy on Vinyl is a production of Stolen Dress Entertainment. It is produced by Mike Warden and is hosted and edited by Jason Klamm. Our theme song was composed and performed by Richard Levinson. Please visit stolendress.com to listen to our other podcasts, read our blogs, read our tweets, watch our videos, and read our books. Please subscribe on iTunes, and if you like us, give us a 5-star rating and a nice review. You can find us on facebook.com/comedyonvinyl, Twitter @comedyonvinyl, and find everything else at comedyonvinyl.com. A major portion of Comedy on Vinyl has been underwritten by Stand Up Records. Please visit standuprecords.com for all your comedy needs and tune into the new Stand Up channel available on the Roku, where you can also find select episodes of this podcast.